Hey, Suzanne, my sweet dear. I am Angie Huffman. I am the founder of Be Well, God Bless. And I am so excited to be doing my first Learn Out Loud series with Suzanne, my mentor, my friend. And I would like, Suzanne, for you to just first introduce to our community a little bit about who you are. What are your gifts and your experiences that God has really given to you in your life?
We could be here all day. However, I'll keep it short. Um, well, I am the owner of Behind the Guru. So it's a company that helps folks figure out their online marketing, how to actually make it work for them. And a lot of what I love to do inside that is help people figure out what is your specific gift, passion, craftsmanship, and help you see that clearly, and then help you talk about that clearly to the larger world and get that message out there in your marketing and start getting some online and offline marketing out there that really tells your story in a profound way. It's all about your vision and all about the vision that you have for the people you're trying to help. They want to know that you have a vision for them too, for their lives. How are their lives going to be better when they work with you? Is your marketing and the story that you tell about your business really clearly showing them how you're there to lift them up and make their lives better? Because when you do that, then they can go, oh my gosh, I want that. That's yummy. Yes, please. And that's how I start getting the really amazing results. So that's my passion. That's what I love to do. I feel like it's a gift from God because, my life in all of its topsy-turvy ways has really made me stop and step back and observe the world from the outside. And, I could, there's just so many things that have happened. I think the most profound one is that I was raised by a mom who's mentally ill. And I now consider that a blessing. I didn't before. But at the time, it was really challenging. She had what we call borderline personality disorder, which is one of those hidden mental illnesses. And there's a lot of people that suffer from things like that never get known or treated because it's kind of hidden. And so you wouldn't have known my mom was mentally ill unless you were really close to her. But it made me feel like, being raised by someone who has a very different take on the world because they're mentally ill makes you feel like a stranger in the world. And so I had to start looking at the world from the outside in and trying to figure out why all these other humans acted the way they did because I didn't get taught to act that way and have relationships that way and have conversations that way. So I'm a keen observer of the human world and what makes things work. And that really actually gave me a love. That and my love for business came together in marketing. So I can really very keenly see what people's gifts are and how they are not sharing those gifts, what's keeping them from sharing those gifts, and then help them put that into words and get it out into the world and into marketing channels that actually work for them.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I totally would agree. I mean, Suzanne has that gift. As I'm trying to describe and explain, here's what's in my head, and there's no way that I am getting this here onto the paper so that I can share it with more people. You would just sit down and just like type this out. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what's in my head. Thank you so much for putting it on paper.
Yeah.
Because it is, I mean, a gift to be able to see from the outside all the things that are happening. Because when you're inside and you're doing all these things, you can't take that outside view. You're like so ingrained in all the day-to-day stuff and tasks and things that need to happen that it's really hard to step back and see it from that outside perspective to be able to share with people where they're at because you're not out there. You're in here and this is all that you can really be thinking about. So super super gifted to be able to look at it from that perspective and be in that space with people on their journey.
Thank you. I love it. It's a joy for me. I feel like, God gave me a gift in that I just tend to look at what's beautiful about people. I can see what's not beautiful. I can see the ugly side or the not so great side, but I never focus there. I always focus on what's amazing about you. And I like to see people for what's possible. How great can they be? How big can they grow? And that's how I see people. And when I talk to them, that's why I'm talking to them. I'm talking to that person that's already great and that's already amazing and already out there in the world playing the bigger game. And that's what I like to do with the marketing too. Like we can see how big you really are and how amazing you really are in your future, when you've really taken down the walls and let loose and given your gift to the world and played full out. I see that in you already, and that's who I'm talking to. And that's important when you meet people, to recognize what's the best about them, because then that's what comes out.
Right.
And you can create that future together.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I've certainly been in that spot where, when you're looking at yourself again, you're looking at all the things that are wrong and are not, that need to be improved. And you don't always have somebody that's like saying, hey, you are really good at these things. What? I am? Wow. Yeah. So that just helps take that next step on this journey that we're on. So I've been so blessed to have you in my life for so many reasons.
Thank you. I feel the same about you. I feel the same about Be Well, God Bless. I love the journey that you're making in the world, because you really care about the deeper meaning in people's lives and their deep connection with God, and are they fulfilling on what they're being called to do? And your calling is to help them with their calling. That's pretty gorgeous.
It is.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to take some time now and really get into seeing this gift in its fullest, where you are teaching and training me. I know you have a PowerPoint that we're going to be able to go through, and you just get to do a little one-on-one training with Angie, which I'm so excited to learn. But I'm also going to be able to take this and share it out with more people, so others can kind of get, as I was saying, a little taste test of Suzanne. So, really some content that will be useful for them, and also just an understanding of how they could, what it would be like to work with you.
Well, I think I've cooked up something pretty fun.
Yay! All right.
The thing I see a lot of people stumbling with their marketing is just how to talk about what they do. And as you said, when you're so close to your own work, it's hard to see it and have any perspective on it. So I put together what I call a message test. So it's just 4 simple things that you can do to look at your marketing message and say, is this helping me and getting my point across, or is it hurting me and confusing people or obscuring them or just making them slide on by without realizing this awesome stuff I have to offer? Mm-hmm. So it's just a quick look, and you can use it to look at your own marketing message, and you can use it to look at other people's too and help your friends and neighbors, or just now you're going to be looking at marketing messages going, did it pass number 1? Did it pass number 2? So there's 4 simple little things that we're going to go through that you can quickly use to assess your own marketing message. Sound good?
That sounds wonderful.
So what is a marketing message? Let's just make sure we're on the same page with this. So your marketing message is the words and the images that you use to convey your value proposition. It's so straightforward, but sometimes it gets a little confusing. What is my marketing message? Because you have something special of value that you do and that you offer. It's your product, it's your service. And yours is different than anybody else's. So you have a unique value proposition, something that's special about you and the way you do it. Maybe you just have a slightly different take on it, or it's because you come from a different perspective, or you put a slight twist on it, or just the way you deliver the customer service around whatever it is that you're doing. It's yours and it's unique. And we need to make sure that the words that you're using and the images that you're using convey that to people very clearly. Mm-hmm. I love the way Jenna Hannington of Pardo said it. It's what makes buyers relate to your brand. by inspiring them, by persuading them, by motivating them, and ultimately making them want to buy your product. Words do all of those things. So we got to pick the right words for what you do. So what most people think of when they see marketing is the end product of marketing. So they see the video, or they see a Facebook ad, or they see a postcard, and that's the marketing. And that is true. That's obviously a very important part of the marketing. But when you look behind, how did you get the video or the postcard? Hopefully behind that is some strategy. So thinking about who your audience is and who you are, and why you would send a particular thing to them at a particular time, and which channel is best for you at which time, and which works best with your product or your service or your audience, or even your particular giftedness. All of those, there ought to be a little strategy behind it. And then even behind that, we really need to see a powerful message. So for Nike, the message is just do it, right? And then they used a strategy of where and how they were going to use that message and get it out in the world. And then you see the end product of the television shows and the magazine ads and the billboards. But behind that was a lot of work that happened before those end products were ever seen by the world. And that's the part that a lot of small companies miss, partly because they don't have the time, and but mostly because they just never been trained in it. They don't know the theory, and that's what I love to do, is help people understand how do you create a great message, and then how do you put that into a strategy, and then then when you put your marketing out, it's actually working for you, and it's doing what it's supposed to do for you, and it actually gets the phone ringing and people calling and people emailing and saying, yeah, I want to work with you, because it's got something very powerful behind it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Feel free to jump in with any questions or comments.
Okay.
So, but why is this important? Why is a message actually very important? Because today's business buyers do not contact suppliers directly until 57% of the purchase process is complete. That's slightly different numbers for business to consumer, if you're selling directly to a consumer versus if you're selling to a business. But it's not that different. So what we're really learning here is that now more than ever, it's important that you have a very powerful marketing message, because it's out there all on its own working for you, because people are researching you and finding you online, and they want to know about you, and they're finding out about you before they ever talk to you.
Right.
And they want to find out about you before they ever talk to you. People expect that they will be able to find you and learn about you before they ever connect with you, right. Person to person. And so your message online is more important than ever before. And also, you have a bigger competition than ever before. You're not only competing with people locally around you and even nationally and internationally, but you're competing with all the other related products and other things people could be spending their money on. So more than ever, again, it's super important that people can understand why it's great to work with you, what you have to offer, that what you have to offer is a good solution for them, and how you can make their lives better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that number when you first said that just shocked me, that before they ever talk to you, that far into their decision, they're already 57% for sure they're going to buy from you because of what they've found online about you.
Yeah, I mean, they think about it. What do you do when you want to buy a new product? You go online, you learn about that product, you learn what you should look for in that product or service, and you find out reviews about that person, and you educate yourself, and then you pick maybe the top 3 products or services that you're even going to look at. Mm-hmm. And maybe one just jumps out at you and is like, oh my gosh, that's for me. Or maybe, 3 of them are, but you've done a lot of work before you ever even, pick your hair salon or pick, your new Reiki master. At least you have talked to other people in that process and found out about them. So yeah, your message has to be super clear these days and out there working for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we also need to stop and think about what's the cost of a bad marketing message. And a bad marketing message is just one that's not working for you correctly, one that's not telling people who you are and what you do super clearly, and helping them understand that you're the right one for them to work with.
Okay.
If you don't have that out there, then your potential clients don't understand your true value. And they don't see why you're different than the other guy or gal. And they don't think you offer what they want. A lot of times you offer exactly what people want, but because your marketing message isn't clear, they don't know that. And they can't hear you over the noise because there's a lot of information coming into people's lives every day. So you have to be able to clearly separate yourself from that noise. And if you're not doing that, means you don't get the leads you could be getting. People don't even know you're there and they're not reaching out to you. And clients pass you up because they don't know you're the best choice for them. And they choose a competitor that explained it better. So one of the quotes I love is that people buy from the first person that answered their question in a meaningful way. So if you think about it, what makes us go out and look for something to buy? Because we have a question. How can I feel better? How can I get my carpets clean? How can I, get some help growing my business? They've got a question. And so they're going out to get an answer. How can I make Facebook ads work for me? How do I get my hair to do what I want it to do? Which essential oil should I use? And so they are asking these questions. And if you can't answer them with your marketing, they're going to go to the person that is answering their questions.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because answering people's questions creates a relationship with them.
Right.
So what I did was I created this message test that helps you to see, is your marketing message doing the things that it needs to do for you? So as you can see, the marketing message on this picture is not very clear, is it?
No, not so much. That's a funny
Not
picture.
enter entrance only. And this is kind of an extreme case, but it's funny how often I see people's messages out there that are basically that confusing. They say one thing and then they say another, or they just don't say enough at all. And so, what we need to do is not have that message. So how do we not have that message? Well, we're going to ask these 4 simple questions. So the first test that it needs to pass is it crystal clear? Can people immediately understand what you do and what you're saying in this message? And if they have to burn any brain power at all, then they're probably just going to walk away. If you confuse them, you lose them. Because people, one, they don't have a lot of brain power left to try and decipher your confusing messages because they're busy. They've spent all day at work. Their brain hurts already. So they're looking at your thing. You have maybe 7 seconds. And in that 7 seconds, you not only have to get their attention, they have to clearly understand what you're saying. And if they don't, they're just going to move on because somebody else is being clear. And they're just going to go figure out what's clear and not worry about trying to figure out whether trying to understand you.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some really funny examples of very unclear messages. Would you like to see those?
I would love to.
Okay.
They're as funny as that sign.
Right. Some of them are pretty good. So here we clarify, do your customers have to spend any brain power figuring out what you're talking about? If so, you failed this portion of the test.
I like that where you said, if you confuse them, you lose them.
If you confuse them, you lose them.
Mm-hmm.
So is this confusing? Why is this guy standing there with a couple of gallons of milk saying you can blame me? No clue. There went my 7 seconds. It's over. I don't know what this guy's doing.
Myself got milk?
No. So this is from the Milk Council.
I got the got milk, so it's got to be a milk thing.
It's got to be a milk thing. This is from the Milk Council. Apparently, milk can help reduce the symptoms of PMS.
All right.
So why they thought that was going to be a good idea to do an ad campaign around, I don't know. And why they thought it would be funny to have this victim of a guy going, okay, I see you're blaming me, honey, but you're being irrational. So here's some milk. It's not only not a good idea, it's just confusing. I still don't know what this guy's doing with the milk. So clearly they confused us, and so they lost us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this one's a fail.
Yeah.
That was no good. How about this one? What are they selling here?
A sexy beach.
Paris Hilton, a hotel that's got the water coming like right up to the bottom floor. I don't even know what that thing on the left-hand side is. Is it like a pavilion or is it a sailboat? Like, I'm just all confused. And if I look down and I like look at the very fine print, then I find out that this is about Azure Resorts. But I still don't even know what Azure Resorts wants me to think about. That Paris Hilton stays at their hotel.
Maybe you can rent a room for the hour.
What?
I said maybe you can rent a room for an hour.
Right. Like, it doesn't. Nothing good's coming to me here.
No.
So again, the thing with both of these ads were trying to be clever. So I actually do not advocate clever in marketing because clever is almost always confusing. There are a few really amazing campaigns that have pulled off clever. Like, Where's the Beef? If you're over 40 years old, then you remember the Where's the Beef commercials. Mm-hmm. And those were great. Those worked really well. And, Diamonds Are Forever, De Beers, thank you. That's very clever. And it's, you made it true. And Just Do It, the Nike campaign. Yep. Those were all very successful. But the number of successful clever campaigns is actually really small. And the number of really just botched clever campaigns is really high. So don't do clever unless you can really pull it off, because mostly it's just confusing. Mm-hmm. So that one's a fail too.
All right.
This one, however, check this out. Beautiful software for fast-growing churches. Simple, clear, immediately whether or not you're on the right website. Mm-hmm. And, it helps you connect with visitors, communicate your message, and empower your team. That may not tell you everything about it, but you know right away whether or not you want to know more, don't you?
Right. Do I fit that category?
Yeah. Now, notice this is maybe a tiny bit boring. That's okay. Boring is fine. Because it's not boring to the person that cares. If you're looking for church software, this is not boring to you. This is clear and it's attractive. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
So that's a win. So the first thing you want to know is it crystal clear? And that's the kind of crystal clarity you're looking for. All right, second test. Are you ready?
Ready.
Is it relevant? Are you talking about their pain points and reaching their most important needs? Not yours, theirs. If not, it's a fail. So.
Right, that's where I say Suzanne has this super gift, because you can be outside looking at the pain points of the world, as opposed to when you're in there doing it all. It's sometimes so hard just to kind of get that outside view.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So here's one that I think is kind of hilarious that didn't get so relevant, right? This is not terribly relevant. Where do lost chapsticks go? First of all, who cares? Like, do you ever wake up at night wondering where your chapstick is?
Depends on how chapped my lips are.
Right. It's usually like not that big a deal. I never think about where my lost chapsticks go. I just think it's $1.50. I'll get another because I have 12 stashed around the house, right? Right. So they were trying to, again, be clever and start a conversation about something fun. But where they failed was, well, okay, one, they took a woman's bohunkus and they stuck it up in the air, and then they talked about something you put on your lips. Mm-hmm. That's just all kinds of weird. I don't even know how to describe how many kinds of weird that is. Right. Not to mention that little hand that's sticking up in the background. Like, what's that? Yeah, I don't know what that is. So it's just
what
weird.
What does this have to do with chapped lips? Is it relevant? Yeah.
Like, it's confusing and it's irrelevant because nobody sits there around and worries about where lost chapsticks go. Like, people don't make up stories about that. It's not a topic of conversation. People don't go online to research where their lost chapstick goes. They just missed the boat.
Right.
And this ad campaign was thoroughly trashed in social media for both of those reasons. So that one was a fail. Next. How about this one? Looking for a unique and exciting team experience? We provide fun and interactive team building and leadership development programs that will make your next corporate event unforgettable.
Okay.
Okay, if you're a meeting planner, this is very relevant because meeting planners have one job. Their job is to make sure that people at the end of each event go, wow, that was great. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's their job. After the event, people are supposed to go, oh, I loved it. That was great. So if you're a meeting planner, you're going to make my next corporate event unforgettable. Thank you. That's what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Very relevant. And they explain how they do it. We have fun and interactive team building and leadership development programs. All right. So if I'm looking for just amazing speakers, I'm not going to look here.
Right.
If I'm looking for product demonstrations, I'm not going to look here. But if I'm looking for team building or leadership development, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that one is a win because it's relevant and it's clear.
Mm-hmm.
Is it starting to make sense when I'm showing the difference between not so good messages and really good messages?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's two more ways we can tell.
All right. What are they?
Number 3 is it about them? So for small businesses, I find this is actually the most challenging one because we are so proud of what we've done in our business and how hard we work to make it grow and all the accomplishments we've achieved and the very cool things that we offer. And we're also experts at what we do. And so it's very hard to get out of our own head and stop talking about what we do and what we've accomplished and what we've built because we want people to know about it naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what we're best at talking about because it's what we live.
Right.
So the difficulty is our prospects don't live in this world with us. They don't live in the world of all that we've built and how interesting all the details are and that we've been here for 20 years and that what we offer and, the 3 different things that we offer and blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I hate to say this, but they could care less.
Mm-hmm.
What they care about is their problems, their worries, their concerns, and getting those solved.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about all this great stuff we've done and what we offer, and they're thinking about their problems, there's a real disconnect there.
Mm-hmm.
So our biggest job as business owners is to stop talking about ourselves and stop looking at the world from our own perspective and cross over that little bridge and get back into our customers' world and see the world from their eyes.
Yeah.
And give a message that is from that perspective, that's meaningful on that side of the bridge.
You are so good at this. Even in our little brief conversation we had before starting, this training, that was right where you were focused in. You're like, how is this going to help the members? What are the members of Be Well God Bless going to get out of here? Because I don't want to just talk, I want to make sure this is about them. So that was where that conversation started from.
That's right. Every conversation has to start from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Especially in your marketing conversation.
Right.
So here's some cool examples. Again, are you looking at this from your customer's point of view instead of your own? If not, that's a fail. Mm-hmm. So this is one I did recently with a local company. And, we're just going to look at the words here, not even images, because I want you to just focus in clearly on this. So this is the before. We target what your business needs and customize training for you. Isn't that a pretty normal statement that a company might make about itself?
Yeah.
Like you kind of recognize that. You've seen that kind of statement before. There's actually nothing wrong with this. It's fine.
Right.
The difficulty is that it doesn't jump out. It's not clear. It's not relevant to the customer because who is this statement about?
It's about the company providing their service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't normally think about that when we're just trying to talk about what we do as somebody who's giving a service to the world or somebody who's giving a product to the world. We want to talk about that product. But the problem is when we do that, we're just talking about ourselves. Mm-hmm. And like we said, that's not something that's necessarily very relevant to the person that we're trying to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
So even though this is a fine and normal and everyday statement, I'm actually going to give it a fail. Not because it's so bad, but because it's like an opportunity cost. When you're talking about what you do, you have the opportunity to wow your person by showing them that you really get their world and that you have a vision for their life about how their life can be better, and that you can show them how you can make their life better. And since you only have one shot at it, you really got to take that opportunity.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I'm excited to see here what you came up with. This business.
What did we do? So this is what we came up with. Now, this is kind of long, but this is called a core marketing statement. You might not put this entire thing in a marketing piece. You might put one portion of it in an individual marketing piece. But this is the core statement that shows all that we want to get in, and we'll break it down and use it each section in different places. But I gave you the core statement so you could see the whole thing.
Okay.
So we show businesses how to manage OSHA compliance, maximize their profitability by developing a highly trained and loyal workforce, and it's easier and more affordable than you think. So if you're in the Midwest and you're a manufacturing company, we just listed your top 3 pain points. Being able to hire and keep people, being profitable, and managing compliance, government compliance issues. Those are the things that they most have to deal with in their training world, and that drives their training managers up a wall.
Sure.
And the other thing that we wanted to know is it's easier and more affordable than you think. It's not easy, but it's way better than you're thinking of, because we're going to make it better for you. Who is this statement about?
Yeah, you can tell if you're in that business, that would definitely stand out.
Yeah, it's because it's about you. It's about what you're thinking about, what you're having to deal with every day. Right. So, again, notice this is actually maybe a little bit boring, right? Boring is fine. Because it's not really boring, especially if this matters to you.
Right.
Because the clarity is actually what matters, and it's relevant, and it's from their perspective. Now you're starting to hit the buttons that they care about. So this one gets a big old pass. All right, and here's our last one. Here's our 4th test. So we've been through 3 tests. Now we're going to do our 4th test. Is it using their language? I can't even describe how important this one is, because we get in there and we have our jargon and our lingo and our technical terms, and that they don't know those terms. If they do, that's fine. You can use them. But unless they're like really common amongst the people that you're talking to, don't use it. And I think sometimes we use them because we want to sound more professional or more intellectual or more, competent. Like we know what we're doing. We can use big words, but it actually has a really negative effect on people. They slip on by, because again, you're making them use brain cells, and they barely have enough, left over at the end of the day. They're smart, they're competent, but they're used.
Right.
They use all those brain cells during the day.
Right.
So they really don't need you requiring more brain cells. So keep it simple. Make it so that if you were just sitting down and chatting with somebody in your industry and you were literally just talking, you would use that kind of wording.
Sure. Okay.
So are you using words your customers use in their everyday life? Are you using jargon and expert language? If you're speaking in jargon, that's a fail.
Gotcha.
I love this. This is so awesome. Best sales enablement software. Sales enablement software provides a repository for marketing collateral and sales playbooks to supply sales representatives.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah, don't keep going. Don't keep going.
Right? That's terrible. I actually know what all those words mean, and that didn't mean it. So that's a fail.
Yeah.
But here's an awesome one. Google Analytics tells you what happened. Kissmetrics tells you who did it. Boom. Simple. Clear. Plain language. If you're at all into tracking your website activity and knowing where people came to your website from, this is very meaningful to you, and it's very simple. Track every single interaction a person has with your business, period. So clear. Google Analytics tells you what happened. Kissmetrics tells you who did it. Boom. So that kind of simplicity is really important. It has to be like something you'd hear sitting in the break room. That level, because otherwise people just don't want to stop and interpret what you're talking about. At the best of times and in the worst of times, you might just have used several words that they don't even know what they mean. Yeah. So that one is a big old pass. They did a good job on that.
Yeah.
So here's the message test. And you want to think about your message in relationship with this now. You can use this and go back and look at the message on your website or on your marketing material. Is it crystal clear? Is it relevant to them? Is it about them from their perspective? And is it in their language? If you can pass all 4 of those tests, then your marketing message is probably doing its job.
Awesome. That's good. That's clear. I get the message. It's clear what it is that this test is going to be doing. And of course, it's relevant because I want to be able to share my business in better ways. So this is great, great information.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. There we go. Now we see you. Yeah, so thank you so much for putting this together. Thank you for sharing it and letting me learn out loud. I can share it with more people. And I do really believe, as it starts out there, it's relevant. The message, just as you said from the beginning, the 57% that is sought online before they make that phone call to begin with, I mean, they pretty much know what they want to do before you get the interaction with them. And so that message really has to come through and has to shine and has to be there.
Yeah, and if you don't have a clear message that explains what you do, and if it's not out there actively where they can find it, then you're not part of their decision-making process. They've made the decision, and they didn't include you even as one of the options. So that's why first we got to get the message clear, then we got to create some strategy, and then we just got to get that message out there. And those are 3 separate tasks that need to be done in order. I'm not saying don't start marketing before you get all this handled, because just any marketing is better than no marketing for the most part. But then when you want to really start, I want my marketing to really start working and bringing me the kind of leads I want and bringing me qualified leads of the right people and making sure that the people are finding out that I really can help them. You got to get it out there.
Right. So just so with some little clarification, so knowing there's 3 areas, the message, the strategy, and the actual material, how do you, Suzanne, fit in with somebody that is like, I need help in one of these categories? Do you work just with that first piece of it, or kind of explain how you would be able to help people if they realize that they didn't pass the test?
I didn't pass the test. The first thing I really like people to do is I put on a workshop that helps people understand the theory behind marketing. So a lot of people just don't know what their marketing is supposed to be doing for them. And they don't understand how marketing really works. So they start putting a lot of marketing out there. And then it doesn't work like they need it to. The blog didn't produce anything. The email didn't produce anything. Maybe I did some Facebook ads. I didn't get much. And so they get worn out and they get kind of burned out. And they're like, So that's because they didn't understand the theory behind it that makes it work. So I really love I do occasional workshops about, and I've got one coming up here in the not too distant future, about, let's talk about how marketing actually works online and offline. So I love to do that. And then I also help people, and sometimes in group classes, and sometimes I work with a company individually to really clarify their message so they're telling a compelling story about their company that people get related to and get excited about. And so that they have a vision for their clients so people can immediately and clearly see what's it like to do business with us. How's your life going to be better when you do business with us? And then I also like to help people create a plan for how they're going to get that marketing out in the world. And part of that is the marketing strategy. You know, okay, where should your marketing be? What's the easiest and best channel for you to use? What's the best way for you to start bringing in money right away? But then also, and how can I keep up with that? How can I keep up with getting marketing out the door? Because if you're a small company, that's a challenge we have to deal with every day.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Wonderful. Cool. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our community before we take off?
Just that if you're here on the Be Well, God Bless site or looking at Angie's work, I just want to acknowledge you and say good job, because obviously something drew you here. And whatever drew you here, go ahead and pay attention to that. It probably means that God is talking to you and has something special that God wants you to do. And that's great. That's really awesome. And that's what we here in the Be Well, God Bless community want to do, is just support people in doing what God has called them to do, and really living and fulfilling on that purpose, and creating craftsmanship around that calling, and making a difference in the world. So good job for being here.
All right. Let's go make some ripples. All right. Thank you so much. Be well and be God bless.
Be well, God bless.
Well, God bless.